The House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic is holding its first hearing today. The panel, chaired by Republican Congressman Brad Wenstrup from Ohio, is investigating the origins of the virus that has claimed more than 1 million American lives. Last month, the U.S. Department of Energy concluded with low confidence that it was plausible the deadly virus came from a lab leak in China. Here to discuss is David Cohen. He's a senior editor for Politico. So, David, let's talk about what we've learned so far about the origins of this virus.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. I would say what we know is that we don't know. You mentioned the new Department of Energy report, but you also mentioned they said with a low level of confidence. And I think all of that reflects a general frustration with the country of China and its government, because without help from them, we can't know for sure.
The U.S. Energy Department, as both of you guys pointed out, says it's most likely that the virus came from a lab leak in China, but low level of confidence. Other government agencies disagree, but the level of confidence goes from low to moderate. My question is, are there any virologists that are going to testify? Any scientists that are going to testify? Because it seems like virologists are a little more in agreement as to the source of the COVID pandemic, and federal agencies seem to be divided.
Well, that's a good question. I would expect they'd have a range of experts, but the basic problem they've come across is one that doesn't appear solvable, which is that the government of China is not being cooperative. Mm-hmm. And I mean, think about it from a perspective, even if the government of China was very cooperative, it might be difficult to pinpoint the origins of this virus. It's not likely there was a broken test tube on the floor with a big red X on it. So having a lack of cooperation from this government makes it just about impossible, I would think, to pin this down.
Yeah.
So David, help me understand something. And Anne-Marie and I have talked about this. To the millions of people who have succumbed to this virus, I understand that it's important to understand from our leaders, both here and abroad, where the origins of this virus originated. But why do you believe it's become such a political hot issue? Whether it started because of a lab leak, whether it was organic or through animal spread, it doesn't matter to the millions of people who have died. What's the point of having this investigation, especially as we know, China is not going to cooperate?
Well, you raise an interesting point, and I think the answer, I can't speak as a scientist because I'm not a scientist, but I think the answer is that knowing how this originated and knowing how it spread initially would help us in the future confront and possibly eliminate threats of new viruses when they emerge.
And so
that part I understand, but that part I get, but I'm just sort of struggling to understand why it's become such a hot button issue on Capitol Hill.
Well, there's the need always on Capitol Hill, as you know, to find someone to blame for things. And that seems to drive a lot of what we're hearing, especially among folks like Senator Rand Paul, who seem to want to pinpoint this not just on the Chinese government, but also on officials in our own government, because I don't know, I guess they find that advantageous to themselves.
Yeah, to Vlad's argument, it's one thing to figure out, how it all started, but also, at the end of the day, the reason so many Americans died is because of how this country handled the pandemic once it reached our shores. One of those people that have been criticized heavily has been the former chief medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci. What is the likelihood of him testifying in front of this panel?
Well, Dr. Fauci has testified frequently and sometimes very aggressively. I would expect that they would call him and we would hear from him again. He gave an interview last night where he pushed back on the latest statements from Rand Paul, who they've, if you remember, had a couple very confrontational moments in hearings At another point, Dr. Fauci called a senator from Kansas a moron, and was heard on a live mic saying that during a hearing. So if Republicans are seeking to score some political points, I would expect they'd bring him back and seek to have more confrontational moments with him.
And I guess that's a little bit the question too. I think that Vlad was asking: is this about getting to the bottom of the COVID pandemic, where it started and how it was handled here in the U.S., or is this about scoring political points?
Well, I can't speak directly to the motivations of these individuals, but are there very many things in Washington that take place without the motive of scoring political points?
Right.
If they were, I'm not sure I'd have a job, if that wasn't the case. That wouldn't have anything to do.
Very good point, David Cohen. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.